We've got my lovely sister-in-law Kim, my brother Richard. This is my fiance Lynn. And we have a table of family right here. We have people from Texas and
deep in the heart of
Texas, and from Massachusetts, my Aunt Laura, Uncle Albert, and Aunt Gloria. And then we have the grandkids, Bethany and Shantae, and Bethany's boyfriend, Sean, and Shantae's brother-in-law, Josh.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm Norm Rutcho. John Jr. maybe? Do I look like him?
Yeah.
Some guy was sitting out there and he said, John's already here. And I was facing this direction. I said, no, not yet. I've got distinguished guests at this table right over here. And pardon me if I mess up any names, but we have professional organ players with us today. Mom and Dad have talked highly of these folks. You're in for some nice music. Mr. Seth Wright.
Hi, Dad.
Albert and Johnny Monero. Dennis All. Virginia All. Larry Basemore. And Diane All. Thank you for coming today. Appreciate it very much. I just want to make a little comment. Lynn and I live in North Carolina, right near Fort Bragg Army Station, and we're about 15 minutes north. We live in a little community called Carolina Lakes. Last month, the U.S. government took a big hit with a Chinook helicopter going down, and we lost 30 elite soldiers. And 2 of them lived in our neighborhood, a couple streets over. Going in and out of there every day to the community and seeing the flag at half-mast hits you in the heart. I want to take a moment of silence, please, to honor the men and women that fight for this country and their families. Thank you very much. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mom and Dad's life, a few highlights in their journey from a few years ago to today. And I guess the thing for me is to try to stay out of trouble during this next few minutes, which I doubt I'll probably be in trouble. But I'm hiding behind all of you. Dad joined the Army Air Corps in 1946. In 1947, he was asked to join the U.S. Air Force. The Air Force became its own branch of military in 1947, and they asked him, "Would you like to be in the Air Force?" And he said, "Sure." So he became an Air Force airman at that time. Dad was quite the ladies' man, a real Casanova. Aren't you supposed to pay me? $1. Jeez. I'm not going to make any money this way.
No.
Dad told me a story about how he met Mom. And he's pretty proud of this story. He says it all started with Mom following him everywhere around Southbridge, Massachusetts. Okay, maybe that's not how it happened. This is interactive. If you like what I'm saying, you can hold your thumbs up. If you don't like it, you can just go. All right. Okay, Mom was walking to a friend's house when she was young, and still is obviously, but when walking to a friend's house many, many years ago, and a friend of hers pulled alongside her. She was walking to a friend's house, but a young man was in a car and pulled alongside her. And he said, "Hey, Jeanette, would you like a ride?" And she knew this guy, and she said, "Sure." So she got in the car. She told him where she was going, wanted to go, and Dad was in the car. That's the time they met. In a car.
That's only 50 cents.
He
said it's worth 50 cents.
So they met in a car, and they were to see each other again. Of course, they really didn't converse that much other than, "Hi, how are you?" They both ended up at a lake, and I guess they were all enjoying summer at the lake, and Dad and Mom saw each other. Dad said, "Hey, would you like to go for a canoe ride?" Mom said, "Sure, love to go for a canoe ride." So they went out, they set out on the lake, and they were, paddling around the lake and small talk, and Dad, being the Casanova that he is, said, "Would you go out with me if I asked you?" Dad, not one for rejection, right? She said, "Yeah, I'll go out with you if you ask me." Pretty cool. Okay, you know the answer. They married 2 years later, September 3rd, today, September 3rd, and that was in 1951. Yep. Dad was home on leave, visiting friends from the Air Force at Andrews Air Force Base. He was stationed at Andrews Air Force Base. They got married, and that's where they went, to Andrews. Washington, D.C. Dad was there for a little while when he got orders to go to Japan, and that was for 18 months, an 18-month unaccompanied tour. So you have a married couple, hadn't been married that long, and then they go into an 18-month separation. Mom, in Washington, D.C., she worked at the Hex store. She modeled, she did repair work, and she also did sales. I hear about the Hex store often. Pretty interesting stories that she tells. Little funny thing happened when Mom's mother came down from Massachusetts to visit. Mom and Dad were living in a small apartment, one room where there was a bed, and about 6 foot away there was a couch, then a little eating area. One evening, they all went to bed. They shut the lights off, and they laid there for a little bit. Mom on the couch, Mom and Dad in the bed, and Dad rolled over, and it went, and Mom says, "Stop moving." So a little bit more silence. Dad rolls over again. "Johnny, stop moving." Dad got out of bed, put both hands on the mattress, and went at it. You want to demonstrate that move, Dad? They didn't want me to tell that story. They said it was too embarrassing, but you know what? I thought it. Okay, Dad went to Okinawa. He did the 18-month tour, and Mom stayed in Washington. After returning home from Japan, Dad had orders to go to Châteauroux, France. And that year was 1956. 1 year later, I was born, Norman Albert Rutcho. Named after my grandfather and my Uncle Albert, sitting right over here. The first son, born in France, made in France. They left France in 1960 for Shepherd Air Force Base, which is in Wichita Falls, Texas. Dad became an Air Force technical instructor. He taught young airmen how to be electricians. He did that for quite a few years. He didn't want to be an instructor. Matter of fact, he showed up at the electrical shop and said, no, that's somebody else. I want to be an instructor. And they said, no, you're going to be an instructor. So he ended up doing that for 6 years, and it served him well later on in life when he worked at Walt Disney World. He also taught electricity. Mom held the position of president of the PTA there in Wichita Falls, Texas for 1 year. And I remember sitting there while Mom was at the podium talking. I didn't hear a word she said. All I knew was that was my mother up there. I think I was 6 or 7 years old. I was pretty proud of her, even then. 2 years later, on March 2nd, 1962, they had another son, Richard Wayne Rutcho, and he's sitting right over there. He's named after Richard Burton and John Wayne. I'm the oldest grandson, so I got stuck with the relatives' names, and he got stuck with the actors' names. Mom's actors' loves, right? Richard Burton.